This podcast contains detailed plot spoilers, adult language, and mature themes. Listener discretion is advised. All right, well, let's get right into this. Welcome to a podcast of rare antiquities. We're back to review episode 5 of Star Trek Picard, Stardust City Rag. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay, let's get into this. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was like they actually kind of got going this week.
Yeah, 100%. This, to me, structurally is the best episode we've seen so far. In my opinion, it felt like a good semi-standalone episode. I mean, it's still a serialized storytelling here, but you know, it was somewhat self-contained, and there was a lot of moving parts, and I enjoyed it. It was very minimal, you know, standing around doing nothing. So and minimal exposition, which was very good. So yeah, it's about time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some stuff here. Bruce Maddox, he is alive. We kind of thought he was dead. We'll leave the end of the episode to talk about what happens to Maddox, but he is here. First things off the bat, different actor. I was disappointed.
Me too.
I was hoping it would have been the same guy. Not that this guy did a terrible job, but it would have been nice to have that consistency. And Agnes has a relationship or a previous relationship with him. What'd you think?
Yeah. Well, I one thing that I kind of noted was, I think on the last episode, maybe the last couple episodes, we had wondered why is she coming along? You asked, this was a big question of yours, right? Why is she here?
And it's solved.
It's answered. I mean, I guess that's one thing the show is going for. Like it has raised questions, and then but it doesn't wait too long to give us an answer. What that answer happens to be another question, but yeah, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that they were in a relationship there, because it kind of made sense. But bit of an age gap. I mean,
yeah,
they made. I guess it's fine.
Well, not even. Yeah. There's a huge age gap here, and I think even the way, you know, in the future, in this fictional future, you can say someone may age more slowly, but you would think that Maddox we saw in the show would be even older than this character. And
probably.
I would assume so, right? Because this guy might be in his early 50s.
Yeah, I was putting him in like mid 50s as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the Maddox from the show would be probably like, I'd say, late 30s, early 40s. So now you're kind of, you should be in his 70s by now, or 80s. Yeah, 70s, I would say, right?
Mind you, we don't know how old we don't know how old Agnes is either. Like, no. she could be 50 and look 35, like, just because how the future is. I know we have to do kind of some gymnastics there, but I mean, hey.
But that's okay. Yeah. That's not important.
Yeah,
it's not important. But yeah, but she's hiding this, and we'll get to know more of what she's hiding. But she hid this from Picard, that she was intimate with Maddox and knew him on that level. So we'll talk more about them later. So now we have a flashback as well, and this is going to be more about 7 of 9. So we get her past. She's part of this group called the Phineas Rangers, and it looks that there is more Borg retrieval stuff that's going on all through the galaxy, and this is being headed by some criminal organization on some other planet that I'm assuming, but they're based in Free Cloud by this, the leader of this organization. I cannot recall the lady's name. But it starts with some gory imagery here, which I dug. What did you think of that? That they're kind of retrieving, they have these quasi-doctors who are trying to retrieve something from these former Borg individuals, and this particular one was now a former Borg who was a Starfleet officer. He was wearing a uniform, and this person was taking something, ripped out his eyeball, and we got to see all those, all of that. Yeah, it was quite interesting, and there wasn't in there, and then she was about to drill into his brain, and they reveal that they don't even give the person anesthetic or put them in some kind of coma or stasis so you can't feel the pain. It's just no mercy whatsoever. It's completely Cobra Kai, sweep the leg completely, 100%. So, what'd you think of
oh man, it was very shocking to see that on a Star Trek show. Oh, gruesome. I mean, for fans of horror films, like that opening scene is definitely for you. I was wondering at the start, and it was confirmed later, if that was one of the Borg children that Voyager had rescued while they were in the Delta Quadrant from the Borg.
I've seen every Voyager episode once, so you'll have to remind me what happened there.
There were 4 like Borg children. I don't remember exactly how it came about, but Voyager rescued them, and they were severed from the collective. And in particular, like they were different ages, and one of them was sort of a young adult or a teenager, and he was kind of like their protector. And he and Seven of Nine were, like Seven kind of took care of them. They sort of abandoned a lot of that storyline as Voyager went on.
But did they stay on the ship?
Yes.
So when they returned to Earth, they came with them.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, and that was that character that was a different actor, but it was the same character that the eldest of the Borg children that Voyager brought back.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Okay, so that explains that, and that's why she was extremely upset, and I think she was mentioning to Picard and the other lady that was like akin to her in that sense. Someone who you share that connection through the same hive mind there. So I can understand that why she was pissed off. So what do you think of Seven now? So she has some chat here with Picard. She's, because the neutral zone fell when the Romulan Empire fell. So some worlds and systems in there were kind of left fending for themselves to probably, criminal organizations such as this and maybe other things. So she's part of a ragtag team called the Ferris Rangers or Fenris Rangers, something along those lines, and she's helping to protect the system. And she says it's a job, but somebody has to do it. So it's a hard life. But what'd you think? What do you think of this development for Seven?
You know what? I always assumed that the neutral zone was an entirely barren and uninhabited place. Like I just assumed nobody lived there, but that's not the case. So it kind of makes sense that with the fall of the Romulan Empire, there's no neutral zone, which means that anybody who was in the neutral zone, like they enjoyed sort of a demilitarized area, right? And then when a major power goes, then there's this power vacuum. So that was an interesting take there, good detail, and sort of an interesting sort of a counterpoint to Picard, right? Because she sort of experienced the same thing, like Starfleet abandoned this area, so she left as well, only she stayed behind to continue to fight, where he decided to turn around and go home.
No, that's right. And I think she I can't recall, even though I just kind of watched the episode about an hour ago. Yeah. I think she kind of sticks it to Picard a little bit on that.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah. But, she stayed to fight that fight. And, good for her. I mean, I thought that was fantastic. And I liked the fact that, we're not seeing our heroes having a happy ending here from any show, it seems here.
Right.
So, even though we're not getting into the nitty gritty of every single character, but, Picard has his issues. Data, obviously, we thought before would become Data. That didn't happen. So, and then now you have Seven of Nine, and she didn't stick with Starfleet or have some kind of happy life on Earth and found a family or had anything like that. She's off here, in the thick of things, fighting the good fight still. So, and not a great life, but she's doing a good deed. So I think that's kind of interesting. I enjoyed all of these scenes with Seven. I thought Jerry Ryan played it extremely well. Yeah, I even liked how she slipped right back into it. He asks how she's doing, and she says, I'm functional. So yeah. So just like the show. So nice details there. So let's move on here. So Free Cloud. So they're going to go there to rescue Maddox, who is now being held captive. I thought he died at the beginning of the episode, but
I did
thought
too. Yeah.
I thought she poisoned him, but apparently this criminal warlord did not, and they are still going to try and get Maddox on Free Cloud. So I want your thoughts on what was your first take on Free Cloud, including those very cartoonish holograms.
Mr. Mott's Hair Emporium.
Yeah, what was it?
You didn't see it?
No, it was the first one, right?
There was a Mr. Mott's like Hair Emporium or something, and
are you serious?
Mr. Mott? And and his face, it was like a blue neon face.
It's from the guy from the Enterprise.
Yeah, the barber.
Oh, that's fantastic! I missed that.
Yeah. Go back, and I looked up as well, or I was just reading because I missed some dialogue. There's apparently a Quark Easter egg on that scene as well, but I missed the Quarks.
Oh fuck! Okay, I'm gonna have to go watch that now.
Yeah.
So Quark's on Free Cloud?
Maybe and Mr. Mott. Maybe it's one of those like barbershop bars that pop up now. You know, like the barbershop that's like in a bar. So like you could go get your haircut at Mr. Mott's, but it's in Quark's. That would be that. There's a show. We should watch that show, Mott and Quark.
Yeah, Mott and Quark. I still think Quark only deserves that bar on DS9 or that No Name Moon he was always after. So.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe he owns Free Cloud. Who knows? Maybe this is that moon he always dreamt of.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic if everything was just Quark, even though you didn't see him. It was just like Quark's everything. So
that'd be great. Oh, that would have been so funny.
I don't think I was a fan of the animation. It kind of pulled like these ads. So I know they're ads, so they're not going to be. Even if this was a real world experience, you're not going to be getting a lot of detail in the ads to make it more photorealistic. Be that as it may, it did feel a little cartoony and did pull me out a little bit. But now that you mentioned the Easter eggs there, I appreciate it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
But what do you think of then Free Cloud before we get to Free Cloud, let's talk about their plan. So they're going to be fixers.
Yeah.
To deliver 7 of 9, who's obviously full of Borg tech. They think because she's full of Borg tech, this criminal warlord will obviously be interested in exchanging her for Maddox. Why did Picard not immediately, I guess, question 7 of 9? Because she kind of very easily volunteered. It was kind of, I know we're just going to have to let things go, but Picard's a bit smarter than that.
I guess he might, but I think he's still kind of blinded by his own ideology. Like, I think he thinks everybody else is idealistic like him. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't really in Starfleet, but she was a part of Starfleet, and he knows she's kind of got a do-gooder mentality. So that could be why. I see what you mean. Like, hey, dig a little deeper here. You get this person just showing up on your ship, and all of a sudden you make her an integral part of your plan.
Yeah, and she volunteers, right? So
yeah.
And it catches him completely off guard. I enjoyed this episode, but the writing on Picard's character, it's not gripping me the way it should. And I just wish they would paint Picard a bit more smarter. Like, he should be seeing these things before they happen. He's like, not using the Force or something like that, but he should be a little bit like a half step ahead. And you don't have to show me in any dialogue or exposition, but just the way he did that kind of double take when she kind of revealed that she knew this character, and he was completely surprised, and the way they film it. So,
well, why did she save them in the first place in the previous episode? Because she just kind of showed up.
Well, she's doing her Fenris Ranger thing.
Okay, so like they were just like in the neighborhood.
Yes. And that was a warlord shooting on anyone who's around the system.
Right, okay.
Right?
Well, then I guess I could see, she's a do-gooder. So she's a do-gooder, and we know her as a hero. So I guess, like, you wouldn't really question her motives, right? Like, okay, you're here helping out, keeping the peace, doing good stuff. We're here to do good stuff. Help us out. She's like, sure. Like, that's fine. I guess I don't know that he would need it. He would have seen through her facade there, because it was still more or less honest.
Yeah,
she did help. Like she
did. It's not about the fact she helped or not helped. It's just I just want Picard to just be He was always, how if you remember in TNG, even though he didn't say anything, you could see in his eyes, in his body language, the way he nodded his head, you could see he was ahead of everybody else, except for probably Data, doing some, or Geordi doing some, calculations on the engine or warp core or whatnot, right? Some science jargon stuff that was going on. But he, politically, and, in these kind of situations, he was always kind of a step ahead.
When it suited the episode, he was.
Yes, I guess. But I mean, that's technically the character.
I mean, like I say, when it suited the episode, yes. When it suited the episode for him to not be a step ahead, he wasn't. Like I understand what you're saying, but like I don't feel like whatever. It's a minor thing. Like if he was,
it's a minor thing, but
if he had been one step ahead, then we don't have an episode either, and it's not that far of a stretch. Like they kind of need to get us where we're going here.
I hear you. I just want him to be painted a bit more intelligent. That's all.
I actually thought they did. I think that, I don't know, the way they shot this episode, the way they shot him, he looks almost younger and more vibrant. So I like how he's playing.
Let's get to that, because
okay.
I get that vibe completely here. One, it's playing off Seven, so I feel there's a different energy right there, because she's bringing a completely different level of energy. And you don't really think about this when you talk about Jerry Ryan in TV or film, but she's bringing a level of gravitas and weight. It's not, one, because she's a legacy character, but two,
she's a good actor. Like she's
doing, yeah, exactly.
She has presence.
Yeah, she has good presence.
Yeah,
more than the other actors on the show accompanying
totally.
Picard. So I think that elevates Patrick Stewart as well. If he has someone really good to play off of, he looks better.
Yeah.
So that's there. But let's talk about their plan and the costumes and going about that energy. I think because they were able to have a bit more fun. We've talked about the previous episodes being so heavy on exposition. They're a bit stuffy and stale and kind of depressing. Here's finally characters allowed a bit more breathe and having a bit more of that fun, and you could completely see it. It's, all over the screen. So what you think? The costumes, the plan, the acting, the fun atmosphere. What it kind of reminded me of. I had that first instinct for comparison is that episode in DS9, that Bada Bing Bada Boom, where they go to the casino and they're trying. It's not I hate that. I'm not a big fan of that episode, but the characters, the actors themselves, were having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
because they were getting out of their stuffy uniforms and doing something different.
I think the show really needed a few scenes like this, like just to bring the energy up a little bit, make it a little bit more fun, because it has been a little bit stuffy. So that was great. I mean, I could see once they were doing the cuts back and forth, like the show. I'm like, okay, they're doing a heist. They're doing the heist. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. And it was pretty rudimentary heist movie stuff. They were paying homage to that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Well, this is extremely high level. There's no heist here. It's just
it's pretty. Yeah, that's what they're playing at though with the style. But
I laughed my ass off when I saw not just what the captain's name is, Rios. When he got into his outfit, I was digging it. And then you just hear that, you get that first glimpse of Picard with the eye patch.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't want to be a pirate. So.
I love the voice he was putting on there.
That
stupid French accent, that stereotypical French accent. Oh, man, that was pretty funny.
For an Englishman who's pretending to be a Frenchman, who's pretending to be even more French.
A Frenchman, yeah, it was pretty good.
So, I had fun. I can see, though, I liked it.
I liked it, yeah.
Simply because the previous episodes were, as we talked about, stuffy. But I can see this not going over very well with hardcore Trek fans.
They'll get over it.
Yeah, they'll get over it. But I can see their point of view. But I think we need to have some fun.
Oh yeah,
in the show, because if it continues the way the first 4 episodes, like context wise and emotionally, it's like this is going to be a long 10 episodes. If it continues along that line. So I'm happy to see a bit of fun here. Rios, yeah. Rios, when he was in the bar, he was doing that kind of little strut and shaking his shoulders. I mean, I enjoyed these kind of scenes. I liked the atmosphere. initially had some bad vibes of, Canto Bite, but
Me
it was
too.
quickly,
Yeah,
it was
me too.
quickly shaken away, and it wasn't that, and I
Mhm.
was happy with that. It still fit,
Yeah.
and I was okay. I liked the way it was lit and everything, and I attribute part of that to Frakes in the director's chair with his lighting
Yeah.
guys and stuff. But Frakes is bringing some technical prowess to and experience to this thing, so I enjoyed that. That's very good. So now let's move on to Raffi. We get a bit more development. She has a son
Hmm.
who's on Free Cloud. We didn't know why she wanted to go to Free Cloud. Now we know.
Hmm.
And looks like she was not a very attentive mother.
She's a junkie, basically, right?
Yeah, so she says she's clean now. So
Uh,
you were right. She was just sitting out in Vasquez Rocks vaping and doing
yeah.
some other drugs and, peyote or what not, who knows, but I'm just still a little, but the whole problem didn't seem to be her drug use. He was complaining that it was all about this conspiracy. Her mind was completely on the
Yeah.
synthetic attack on Mars still.
Right.
And that was really the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the son and the mother's relationship. And she ignored the husband, it was his dad, and then him. And so I'm a little confused. She was let go from Starfleet.
Hmm.
So how did this problem really impact her relationship with her kid?
I'm gonna say we'll probably find out later.
Yeah, again,
Like she went, because we know that something happened on Mars that nobody's ever uncovered. She probably went looking for that,
mhm.
and that just ruined her. That just wrecked her shit, and she turned to drugs and alcohol because she couldn't figure it out. Again, it's sort of another parallel to Picard's story. Is she couldn't solve this problem, so she withdrew. Then she did the other thing that she knew how to do. And in Seven's case, it was, be a mercenary in the neutral zone. Picard's case was make wine. And in Raffi's case, it was drink and do drugs in a trailer park or in a trailer in the desert. So I think this is not, like, we're going to learn more about that. Because we know that's an integral part, right? Is the attack on Mars. So I think that's going to come back around.
I hope so. I hope it's just not name drop, like that event is just not the backdrop for every single problem for every character.
Well, it's it's part of the lore, but that's
big, but
the thing on the Mars thing, though. That's the core of the whole show.
it is, but it shouldn't be the crux of everybody's problem having a relationship with anything.
Well, why not? Like it was their 9/11, dude. So that would be, and if you were close to it, that would be your defining moment. Like that kind of trauma, that kind of tragedy.
Yeah, it's a little weak still for me, but I'll let it go if it's developed more. But right now, it's hanging on some thin threads there.
So
That's all I got to say.
You think that like a terrorist attack that claimed 100,000 lives and reshaped the entire Federation and Starfleet forever is weak?
Well, I'm saying the way they're portraying it is weak because we're talking about the Mars Utopia Planitia shipyards.
Yeah.
Now, the impact of the damage to the fleet impacted the Romulans, the Federation not being able to go rescue, which is still a weak sauce excuse, which still to me, we've talked about this from my perspective. I'm not buying it yet, but I'm letting it go. But if this backdrop is used for problems for every character in every facet of the show, then I still have a problem with that because to me, it's a very isolated. It is definitely going to impact certain people's lives, especially those who are working there, and if they died, and those particular families. But I don't know. There's just something missing. It's just not from when you're talking about now space and multiple planets and a quadrant, which is the Alpha Quadrant and Beta Quadrant. This is a blip on the radar when you think about Star Trek as a whole. That's how I look at it. I'm not looking at the fact that there was a terrorist attack. If there's a terrorist attack that claims 100,000 lives in our life, here in reality, yes, that's a big fucking deal.
Okay, but there was a terrorist attack that claimed 3,000 lives in our reality, in our lifetime, and the world, and it's been almost 20 years, the world is completely different from that one thing, and it only killed 3,000 people.
I know, but that's also the first major terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
Right,
to that level, right?
But that's that's the analogy here, though. Is like it only killed 100,000 people out of many billions, but like what? It's not the attack; it's what the response to it is that makes everything so
No,
fucked
no,
up.
and I agree. But my thing here is what I'm trying to say is that all I'm saying here is that now we're using that as an excuse that Raffi's whole family dynamic is completely ruined. When I'm finding out that she just got laid off from Starfleet immediately after, or right before those attacks even occurred. I'm not even sure the
It was
timeline.
after.
It was
I'm
after,
pretty sure it
immediately
was
after.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if you're saying it's going to be explored, and she went off trying to figure out a certain conspiracy and still ignored her family, fine. But if it's just that and she just got fired, because the way I look at it is, she's just because of that, her getting fired, she's blaming Picard for everything, and that was weak. I was not happy with that introduction to Raffi, and I'm still not. That's weak sauce. So if they're going to develop it more, that's great. But now they're extending that. Now because of that, for firing, it's like, well, she completely ignored her family. I still have that's going to be a problem. Unless what you're saying is true, and they will eventually explore it.
It's true. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
but if it's I got you, buddy. I got you.
Weak sauce if it's not there, but that's fine. Okay, let's move on. So let's talk about the resolution to this criminal lady. I don't even know if we get the organization's name, or I can't remember the lady in charge, her name.
Were they working for the Tal Shiar, or were they just holding Maddox for the Tal Shiar?
I don't know. She mentioned something about the beginning when Maddox was talking to her. And he says to her that the Romulans and the Tal Shiar are after him.
Oh, right.
Right? And then she says, well, that's a bitch because I have to then make deals with the Tal Shiar now for some strange reason.
Right, right.
So that's what she was talking about. So she's not working directly for the Tal Shiar. So I still don't know what she was trying to do for
she wanted to sell him to the Tal Shiar.
Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is a minor detail. It's just maybe the show was going so fast, and I was just happy seeing some fun. I ignored that little detail. So
yeah,
and that's okay. But let's talk about now the resolution here. So we find out that because Seven is because of that relationship with those former Borgs who were killed by this lady and her crew to still retrieve Borg parts. This is still a big thing going on here. It's all this retrieval of Borg tech. This backdrop of the show. I'm surprised it's that valuable, but I guess it is. So they have a relationship, which again shocked Picard. They knew each other, and then she was going to kill him, and then I keep forgetting the fucker's name. Reyes.
Sorry, it's Rios.
Rios
it is Rios.
Rio convinces her to not do this today. You can always track her down another time. Just grab Maddox and let's go, and they do that. And then she beams right back down, which was fucking awesome. But before we get to that, she has a moment with Picard in the ship. Give me your thoughts there.
Yeah, I like theirs. I thought that was an excellent short interplay between the two. Good, well performed by the two of them. But this is sort of the first time that I felt that there was something Star Trek in the show. This is a Star Trek concept. This is a Star Trek, a Picard speech, albeit a short one. So it was great. I thought it was very excellent, and it did seem to get to her, even though
she goes all Punisher back down on the planet again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I love it. So I 100% agree. This scene was the best scene in the show between the two, and my favorite scene so far in the series so far.
Yeah,
is just this one moment between two characters who coming together. We've never seen them interact before, but fantastic. I agree. He's talking about they're talking about their humanity. Should she ever get it back? And he's also talking about, she doesn't have to resort to that kind of revenge,
right?
And violence, and she kind of obliges him for a little bit. But I love the fact that when she comes back down, she makes a point when she talks to that criminal lady again, who she's about to kill, that she didn't want to do that in front of him because she doesn't want to ruin his hope and optimism.
Yeah,
and I thought that
she says something like, somebody around here needs to still have it, or something like that. Right?
That's right. And I thought these are some great lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then she fucking Rambos the joint up. So that was fantastic.
Yeah. That disintegration special effect, she just in a puff of red mist, that lady goes out of It's not like the old sanitary vaporizing with a phaser. Like she was. It reminded me of like that weapon in that episode where Data gets captured by that collector, and he's got like that disruptor that vaporizes you from the inside out. Like it was like it's like a painful.
It was a little quick. I mean, I was going to point out that I still think the one that kind of hits you the most is still from Wrath of Khan, when you see these people,
right?
And also even Star Trek 3, the Klingon disruptors, where you see them get shot and then they're writhing in pain and then they vaporize, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wish they went back to that, and I think they had a bit of that in Discovery, if I recall, in the Mirror Universe. They had some. I think what's his name? The Jason Isaacs character again. He vaporized somebody.
The captain. That's right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of wish they had that, but to be fair, Rios wouldn't have had, if he's a good-natured guy, he wouldn't have a weapon like that on his ship. Yeah. So I can let that go. So makes sense. But yeah, the fantastic little action sequence there. Sad to see Seven go. I was hoping she would stick around, but maybe she'll come back. She gave Picard that little, call me if you need me chip, and that seems to be Seven for now. And so what you think?
We get to see her. Yeah, I thought it was good. I really hope we get to see her again, and I suspect we will. I think she'll come back around because it's not like it. I don't think they would just drop her in because it wasn't a cameo, right? Like she was a big part of that episode, and it doesn't look like her storyline is totally resolved yet. Like the artifact, as they call it, I guess I assumed it was more of a secret project, but apparently it's not. Picard knows of it.
Yep. So Maddox reveals that to Picard. That's right.
Yeah. So I assume that Seven must be itching to get herself onto that cube because there's so many.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, I'm assuming she'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it was good. It was good. It was a good little action scene. I really enjoyed. I dug it.
All right, so let's, we're rounding out the episode here. All that's left is Maddox and Agnes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know your thoughts.
I did not see it coming. I'll tell you that right now.
I saw it coming. The reason why is when they were alone, one, nobody else was there, right?
Okay.
So Picard leaves after he gets his information. So that's always kind of like a little clue. Now, nobody's in the room except those two.
Right.
So then I was thinking, because just the way she had a certain look on her face that didn't seem right. That was another clue. And then I kind of figured, well, Maddox really can't be around because it would make things a little easy for the rest of the story.
Right.
And so
I assumed he was going to die. Didn't think she was going to murder him.
Yeah, but then I think he would have died in front of Picard.
Yeah, good point. So when he didn't, I was surprised. But yeah, that's a good point. It would have been a good clue, but
yeah. So I saw it coming, but I was still a little surprised. But because we didn't get the scene with Commander O and Agnes before, I was not surprised at that, because I always was wondering, okay, well, what's really going to happen here with Alison Pill's character?
Mm-hmm.
And she seemed, as we talked about, fish out of water. She seems really out of left field here. So something's got to happen. So that's why when I saw, now everyone's left the room, she's alone with him, I said, okay, she might kill him. Not that she's going to. I'm saying it occurred to me in my mind she might do it, and it happened. So, yeah. But what'd you think? Like, and she's saying, I wouldn't do this if they didn't show me this. And it's about, looks like the synthetic Soji and being called the Destroyer and all these kind of things. I mean, what's really going on here, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, see, I'd forgotten about that scene that you mentioned where Commodore O went to visit Agnes when she was she was wearing her sunglasses or whatever. And you're right, we don't know what happened in that scene. We never saw it. And I completely forgot about that until after this episode was over. What is going on here? Like, what did they show her? Because she's not a Romulan plant. Like, she's a regular person, right? So
no, and she says, I wouldn't do this unless, but they showed me something, and she says something like that to Maddox. So she says, I'm very sorry, right? Like, she's...
Yeah. And why does his death matter if the Destroyer is already out there?
Yeah, that's the other thing. So I mean, this seems kind of odd.
Well,
unless she's now going to try and sabotage more of the mission, and that's why she's there. But still, it's a little odd. I mean, it's just to use. You would think the Romulans would be saying, "Really, we're gonna use this person as our secret weapon."
Well, that's a lot of questions. It definitely raises a lot of questions. There's no question about that. Who knows, right? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't use her as my secret weapon either if I was a Romulans, but they got something up their sleeve.
They do, but now so Maddox is dead.
Yeah.
So this, it gives Agnes a bit more agency on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Something more than her just complaining about she's bored, which is good. So I'm glad to see Alison Pill have something more to do here. But now what's going on with Soji? So let's talk about, we didn't get anything with the Borg, the artifact and Soji and Narek and all that stuff, which was thankfully nice break. Yeah. So, but hopefully things will improve when Picard, their kind of timelines meet up, right?
Yeah.
But what can this be, man? I mean, I don't want to spend another 20 minutes talking about it. Let's give me kind of like a couple minutes here on what you think where is this leading? Like, why is Soji viewed, this is a synthetic android life form.
Right.
Right? So this is not about Skynet,
No.
And the destruction of mankind or anything. At least I don't think so. Or, and it's kind of weird that we talked about already that the Romulans seem to be, or this Doc Vaj group seems to be so anti-synthetic that's their whole focus.
Right.
Is their whole organization is just to ensure that they are, suppressed and they don't exist or whatnot. But I'm still confused. Like, how can this really lead to something significant? I mean, it's going to take some good writing, and now they're leading up to this. But what do you think it could mean? Or you're just baffled?
I'm pretty baffled.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty baffled too, because I have no explanation on how this could really impact the Star Trek galaxy and all these worlds as we know it. I mean,
there's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about androids and android rights.
Partially,
partially
absolutely.
For sure. But I mean, like, what really could this all mean? Is it going to be like it's not the Clone Wars, right? It's not like Sidious developing a clone army behind people's backs and it's all synths. This is not like something. At least I hope it's not something like that.
Oh man, that would be. Oof. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I hope that they know what they're doing. I will say this though. I mean, right up until the end of last week's episode, we were 4 episodes in, and the show wasn't really anywhere. And I was worried. I'm like, okay, we only got 6 episodes to go here, guys. Like, you got to start putting this together. But I feel now after this episode, I feel like, okay, we got 5 episodes. We know that, Picard knows where Soji is. Yeah. He knows about the artifact, so I feel like, okay, we have enough time. Like, we're far enough along now that there's enough time to get to what's going on. So here's, I hope they don't waste any more time, because it's probably going to take all 5 episodes to figure out what's going on. Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, but I mean, I'm very interested now. That's a good thing, is to see what this all means about Soji. And this episode was a good thing. I mean, I liked it, Jeff. I'm assuming you liked it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
So this was your favorite of the bunch so far?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's my favorite of the bunch so far. I mean, the pilot was still, just because everything was new, right? There was a lot of cool stuff happening in the first episode, but yeah, this was the first episode, at least since the first episode, where I'm like, okay, this is what I have been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
I agree. It was good. It wasn't perfect, but yeah, I was into it.
Yeah, and the good news is here we didn't still get to see Riker yet, so that's still coming eventually. Yeah. So I can't wait. But I'm already going to say this: he's going to see Riker. I mean, I'm just going to want Riker to stay and join him, but it's not going to happen. It's just like
and I think that they've done a good job of like not succumbing to the temptation of getting everybody back to, because we would feel that every episode, like, oh, why can't they just stick around and hang out, and go on adventures together? It's like, well, they can't because they can't. Like, it's not a reunion show. That's not what the show is. So,
No, I hear you. Yeah. And I agree. That's fine. There is one character, though, that I think should have been here already. And I know we're already long in the tooth as it is for today, but what about Q? Do you think... I think he should have already made an appearance. And I think instead of his stupid Stargazer doctor friend, that would have been an interesting point for Q, kind of nudge Picard in a certain direction.
Yeah, I would definitely be fine
I would have loved to have seen Q. I didn't bring this up when we did our first episode review, but it did occur to me. Like I saw it right away. So in the first scene of the first episode, in the dream sequence where he's playing cards with Data, we're well into the scene. It's a dream sequence. Do you remember the hand that Data plays?
No.
It was 5 queens.
Oh, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Q.
So I was like, Q, 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 Q. So that could be nothing, but they could have chosen any 5 cards in that deck.
Well, they could be trying to throw you off too and keep you guessing.
Could be. And this is one of those fanboy things where I'm like, oh, I saw this thing. Like, it's usually nothing, but just tuck that away in your back pocket for a couple weeks. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Fantastic catch, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I think Q, especially if this is Picard's kind of swan song, Patrick Stewart's not going to be playing him after this show is done. This is it. So I think even more so than any other TNG character, I think Q needs to be here because they have a very unique relationship.
Yeah.
And he knows what really makes Picard tick.
Yeah.
More than any other character. So
yeah, I 100% agree. Of any character, we should see him at least once briefly.
Yeah, and maybe right at the end. But then that's why I would have liked a beginning. It's almost like Tapestry where you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like you're the beginning of the adventure. Here's the end. Kind of mirrors the TNG show, the beginning and at the end. He's there. Yeah. And I think that would have been perfect. And because this is also dealing with the Borg, he introduced the Borg to the show and to Picard, and I think it kind of wraps everything nicely. Mm-hmm. And I think that would have been how I would have approached it. Hopefully we'll see him in some aspect.
Hopefully so. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
All right, Jeff. Well, almost 50 minutes here, so it was worth it. It was a good episode, so we had to extend it, but that's it for today. All right. See you next time.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All right. Cheers.